And now we have amongst us Sridhar Singh, CEO and co-founder, TAC, the Ayurveda company. We have a session coming up that's on offline growth strategies for direct-to-consumer brands that originated as exclusively online entities. Hello, ma'am. Can we welcome her with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Sridhar. I'm CEO and co-founder of TAC. For the uninitiated, TAC is an acronym for the Ayurveda company. How many of you are founders or CXOs who are willing to take their businesses offline? Do we have anyone over here? Okay, that's not very motivating, but I'll quickly talk about why we started TAC and why we are doing the grunt work that is required to take businesses offline. Why a new age brand, a digital brand like us, is trying to set up a business which the conventional FMCGs or the large conglomerates that you see across the globe do. I suffered from a skin problem from 2014 to 2017 and got only symptomatic or suppressive solutions from modern medicine. Basically, it was an acute form of allergy called hives urticaria that now I see is very common among men, women, children. I found solutions through Ayurveda within 3 to 6 months, and I got to know that it was basically a case of pitta aggravation. Some of you might know that there are 3 doshas in human body, Vat, Pitta and Kapha. And I could not believe that the problem that was complicated to that extent by a set of doctors was that easily solvable. And that's when we thought that we have to do something in this space. But what had happened was that when I came back, when I started talking to my friends and colleagues about it, I realized that not everybody took the same sense of pride in Ayurveda, and Ayurveda was perceived to be this uncool, orthodox, regressive, and also maybe at times ineffective solution. That's when we started thinking that the way India and Indianism as a concept were coming to the fore, we felt that we would want to take Ayurveda through this transformation, and that's how TAC was born. Before we start talking about what's there on the slides, I'll give you one anecdote. So in 2019, early 2020, we started with our first brand called Khadi Essentials that some of you may have heard of and also used. We put our products in modern bazaar outlets and Le Marche markets outlets across Delhi NCR. And being the first generation enthusiastic founders that we are, Param and I do run these brands together. We started going to these outlets, and we used to stand there and see how the consumer's reaction to the packaging is, to the product is, and how the product is responding neck to neck when positioned against brands like Nivea or HUL. And we used to stand there, we used to see that consumers used to pick the products and they'll see it like this and then they'll keep it back. So over a period of time, we started realizing that offline is not, you can't buy the customer there. The customer has to buy your product. And it is the real litmus test of a lot many things that we will look at in the subsequent slides. I think, the industry, the D2C boom is there to stay. If you look at the numbers right now, about 8 to 10% of the overall population shops e-commerce, which is going to go up to, let's say, another 33% in few years to come. But offline is here to stay, and offline is not just, it has, while it is also called retail therapy, offline gives you the real exposure to various parts of the country that online can never even imagine. So we'll talk about, so by 2027, online is going to go up to 33%. Now, we need to understand why an omni-channel business is important. Omni-channel business, basically as a brand, as a product-based brand, our philosophy is that we need to be there where the consumer is. It does not matter whether the consumer is shopping from our website or an Amazon or a Flipkart, or it is our retail channels. But we very carefully and strategically positioned our brand right from the time we first raised our seed round from Wipro consumers to our second Series A round, which was a 100 crore round in apparently the funding winter that the country saw. We very strategically positioned it in parts where we started seeing the right kind of cohorts from our online businesses. So there's this aspiring tier 1 cohort in the country, which is your tier 2, tier 1 within the tier 2. For example, you have areas like Jaipur, Mysore, Chandigarh is coming up. Then you have Vadodara, Indore. And we started positioning our beauty assisted counters, our advisor assisted counters there. And then we also realized that if we have to go big on this offline game, we will have to do it the way the neural distribution system in an FMCG works. So, I mean, this is something that any brand which aspires to become a common household name will have to follow. I think in the last, and especially the pre-COVID era, the kind of the Facebook, Meta, the entire Google universe has become so expensive that until and unless you have extremely deep pockets or extreme brand visibility or availability and resonance, online is something that will continue to remain short-lived. On the other hand, when you go to an online plus an offline kind of a business model, it forges the connection between the consumer and the brand that will go beyond a simple conversion through an ad, then ROAS, which is not yielding bottom line to the organization. In terms of, and it also kind of differentiates you from the clutter, because there are so many D2C brands that are digital first, and they have all their focus, attention on growing digitally only. When you become, imagine the kind of ecosystem you're trying to create for your consumer, wherein they see your ad on a Facebook or an Instagram, Google, wherever, and then when they go out and they venture into a store, they also see your products there. But then we need to understand that offline also comes with a very big expense that gets invested in the infrastructure, the team, the overall commissions, relationships with the stakeholders. So how do we go about that? How does a D2C or a digital first brand crack offline? And so before we get to the how, let's talk about when. When do you do it? Because if you look around, there are so many brands that have come up, and not every brand is able to perform well offline. Today, 70% of what we do, so we are at an ARR of about 150 crores. We are a 2.5-year-old business. So TAC was launched in mid of 2021. And how do we ensure that when we enter the offline, the sales happen? Because otherwise you will be stuck in a vicious circle wherein you'll keep on sending stock and the cost of infrastructure will keep on piling up. So how do you ensure that there is the right kind of lifting from the shelves that keeps happening? So I think before I'll just say that there is never really a right time in terms of deciding when so I mean, the day you decide that you would want to take your business offline, there are a couple of checkpoints that need to be there. So first of all, do you, in your cohorts, in your data that you see from different channels, whether it is third-party marketplaces or it is your website or your app, are you seeing that there is an unmet demand? So there is more that you could do, but because of maybe higher cost of acquisitions, or because of limited budgets, or because of the kind of community that you would have otherwise wanted to form offline, you're not able to do it. So there are certain pockets that I identified as our aspiring tier 1 cohorts, which are at this moment tier 2 in the country. We identified that these were the pockets wherein we could physically go meet and check with people if because we were getting good repeats, good acquisitions from these places. So we wanted to identify and dipstick these kind of areas first. Then the second is that you need to have some proof of concept for your online business. On offline as the real litmus test, people have the option. So, in the first go, you're not going to have your own stores. You're going to position your products in multi-branded stores, and consumers have the option, and they would literally pass by your product without even looking at it. So it is important that people should have some resonance, and it performs better for brands that have a higher middle of the funnel kind of an audience. Then there is a certain brand awareness that needs to be supplemented. So for example, last year we did a collaboration. So we were one of the sponsors for Filmfare that brought in a significant increase in the volumes of searches for our brand name. We were also one of the key partners with Roadies, because our TG is the younger population. We want to make Ayurveda a matter of pride and an active choice among the youth of the country. And then there is this show called Indian Angels, which is an investment opportunity show where we are also there. So top of the funnel, large visibility platforms that create an organic search and demand for your product and for the brand in general. These would also be supplemented by having brand ambassadors or some known celebrities or faces that people start building resonance with. And then, like I've been saying, the geographical pockets, because India is, there's never too much money to burn in the country. And no matter what kind of fundraisers that you do or the kind of pockets that you have, a country like India will suck it in no time. So it is very important to go focused, identify specific beats, and with limited products, and attain success, and then keep on expanding geography. So what I tell my team is that you should get the basic recipe of the sauce right, and then up to a certain level you can simply multiply. Once you reach that level when the multiplication stops to happen, then you figure out other changes that need to be done in that recipe, so that you can go from, let's say, from 1 to 50, then 50 to 1,000, 1,000 to maybe 1 lakh, whatever. So now that we have looked at when should we do it, let's go to how do you do it. I think this is the secret sauce, the product, price, and channel. So offline also is not, so the way you divide online into D2C, marketplaces, app, affiliates, offline also can be divided into multiple aspects. So for offline, the way we look at it, there are assisted counters, so which are manned counters, wherein somebody is standing as your performance marketer to sell the product, whether it is your own store or it is a multi-branded store. These are called BA outlets. Then there would be modern trade outlets. There are unmanned counters, and then we've also expanded into general trade from later part of the last year. So do you think that the product that does really well on our website, which is the bestseller on our website, would sell well in a Muzaffarnagar kind of a belt, in a small mom and pop store, in a small kirana store? The answer is no, because the product size, the product pricing, and the channel fitment is very important for any business when you're planning to take it offline. Otherwise, you'll keep on hoarding stock, and it just keeps getting accumulated there. The second is supply chain. So we have Sanjeev Gupta, who is ex-Coca-Cola India CEO, as one of our board advisors, and he was telling me that one of the tricks that he had to ensure that Coca-Cola market share went up against its competitor Pepsi was to ensure that the stock reached the stores well in advance than their counterparts. So your logistics and supply chain need to be sorted, because offline expands like how the infrastructure, the back end has to be sorted, the product has to be sorted. And once you're in the market, there's no going back, whether it is your product quality, it is your supply chain, your logistics. And the next step is the team and trainings. So the way you design your infographics or product detailer, videos, influencer content for online, the team standing there are pretty much doing the same thing. So it's ironical that in a world that started from offline and has gone online, we now are looking at offline as an alien or something which is something so new and something that needs to be discussed in such detail about. So these team members that are standing there are representing your brand. The way we ensure that our infographics or our ads convey the entire brand story, the product story, and why should the reason to buy. Similarly, the teams on the ground have to be prepared with the entire details about the product, entire details about the business, and also why your product is better than the competition. Offline is a team intensive game. It is high on infrastructure. So until and unless you have your pockets identified, it is not advised to go there. And the last but not the least would be demand generation. So now demand generation could happen at both macro and micro levels. Macro levels would be some national level campaigns or maybe state level, region level campaigns that you do, or you substantiate your product demand generation or awareness through some national level celebrities or people that are seen as credible figures. But then you also can do it at micro levels by participating in regional events. For example, last year we the identified Garba counters or hotspots that were there in Vadodara, Ahmedabad, we put up our posters so that for at least those 9-10 days, people cannot unsee our brand. And then we also did a sampling of our sunscreen and face wash. So that when people go back to their places, they can wash their face, they can remove their makeup, and the next day they can also apply the sunscreen so that the product, the brand stays on top of their mind for those 10-20 days, which led to an upsurge in the sales of that face wash and that sunscreen in Gujarat area, in those specific pockets. So these are kind of micro level interventions that can be done. Now let's talk about product, price and channel in a bit more detail. Now we strongly believe that, and as a startup you would never have the right kind of resources to maybe depute Nielsen or any big agency to do the right kind of market research. I was thoroughly provocated by the session that you gave, and I think a lot of it depends on the kind of data and imagination that we put together. So when you start as a D2C or a digital first brand, there's a lot of data visibility you have with respect to which pin code, what gender, what page length of the website. It's just that what you make of that data is important, and which is why it's important that you know your consumer. So if I know that my consumer is a female who is, let's say, 28 to 32 or 33 years, who falls in the top 20% income and lifestyle bracket of the country, then I'm going to show my ads to this kind of an individual, and also devise ads that resonate with this kind of a female or a TG. So, and similarly, my offline strategy needs to follow suit. However, as an online first brand, you can also sometimes choose to, because we are now going all widespread in offline, you can also identify that what pack sizes would perform and for what kind of TG. So for example, the TG that I talked about, the female that I talked about, would be okay with a 300, 400 product. But in general trade, going back to, let's say, a market like Gorakhpur, A 300 rupees face wash may not cut it. So you will have to have a smaller pack size and also a pricing which suits that market sentiments, while not negotiating on the brand's ethos or what you stand for, which is the product quality, Ayurveda, deconstructing the science of it, clinically tested products, and so on and so forth. Second would be, you need to pick one choices, or so the choices that you have will be volume versus value. And if we are very laser focused when it comes to offline, so general trade for us or offline retail expansion for us means that we are seeking volume. And when it comes to online for us is more about brand perception, value creation, and at a brand level, it is okay to have products that are perception based, and then another set of products that are volume based, and maybe a third set of products which will drive your bottom line. So identification of channels and products as per this strategy would really help. Next would be the kind of channels that you want to enter in. So again, like your kiosks or your EBOs, the exclusive brand outlets, your own stores, these would be pretty expensive and can only start performing once there is an organic demand for the brand, for the product. However, in a multi-branded store, and the cost of operation will be very high. In a multi-branded store, it would be lesser. In a BA counter, it would be even lesser. And in an unmanned counter, it would be lesser. But then, the wider you go, the more horizontal you go, you will have to support it with top-level brand generation, need generation, demand generation, and also the right kind of teams that are there. So, feet on street, as we say it. The sales officers, the TSIs, the business development executives that can go door to door to make that connection happen. And then of course, the right kind of product, price and channel fit. Some of the examples of products that we have launched exclusively for channels. The first one is a facial kit. So facial kit is not something that you commonly see in D2C or digital first brands. But then as we entered offline, we realized that there was a huge demand of a facial kit and it was also fitting in the overall brand ethos. And we came up with Kumkumadi facial kit, which is now performing decently well in our general trade and offline counters. Similarly, to stand in comparison with the kind of body lotions or topical products that existed for winters, we came up with a different pack size of a lotion and also came up with trade schemes which would not create a bias in the minds of consumer with respect, or a barrier in the minds of consumer for their first time purchase. You can, at a brand level, there is a distinction between some SKUs that would only go offline and then some SKUs that we do primarily online. A bit about supply chain and logistics. So the first and foremost being, what kind of channels are you picking, what kind of prices are you picking, what is the kind of product that you're picking in order to take. So, you know, whenever you start offline, for us, the game has always been about scale. We're currently at about 50,000 retail touchpoints, and by Diwali this year, we would like to go to 1 lakh retail touchpoints. So, when you aspire to hit such scale, it is important that your backend, your supply chain logistics is absolutely sorted. Of course, every channel has different demands, and then in offline you also have layers, unlike direct to consumer or marketplaces wherein you supply in bulk as per a supply forecast mechanism that an Amazon would give you or maybe a Unicommerce would give you. You have to work on your own forecasting methods, and then also it's a tiered network wherein you send your products first to CFAs. Then it goes to your super stockists, then your distributors and the retailers. And there are very few direct business to retailer or business to consumer transactions that are done. So how do you how do you keep everybody excited about a new brand? How do you keep everybody motivated enough to be with you in the journey is very important. And also the planning and forecasting, because if you go wrong on that, you end up overstocking. And we are in a perishable commodities kind of a business. So the products come with an expiry date, they have a shelf life, and nobody wants to pick up a beauty product or a wellness product which is 2 years old. Another important, and I think this one is the, so product and people are the key. These are the most important pegs in the success or failure of any important brand, or I think it has been the case with wars also. If your army men and your ammunitions are not up to the mark, you'll lose the battle. And so is the case. So our products are our ammunition and our teams, and we are the folks fighting the battle. So, and I think this weird example also came because I come from an army background, so my father was in the army. So most of the examples that we, or even, you know, getting up in the morning in chilly winters used to be like, you have to do this. Imagine how people in Kargil get up and do this. So probably a lot of examples like that I've grown up with. I think when you're out there, imagine how many layers of distribution I talked about, and then there is a regional sales head, then there are zonal sales heads, then there are area sales manager, there is a sales officer below him, and then there are TSIs. So imagine the number, so you know, somebody, the marketing head or the marketing team sitting in the head office, or maybe I coming up with an idea, and that being percolated down in the same intensity and same emotion is very important. And these teams are your on-ground brand advocates, your brand ambassadors, who need to be trained incessantly till the time they emote with the consumers the way you would want to, the brand would want to, and the brand needs to. Important to hire with experience. You know, again, recall your funny example, how do we give somebody experience? So I think in for that, we also have in-house training programs wherein we also support, there's an NGO that we are associated with in Northeast, wherein we provide them with training opportunities and also employ them once they've completed the course. Trainings, we also have a team of in-house Ayurveda doctors that educate the teams on what in the product performs how, and how the product and the brand differentiates and compete against whatever is there in the market. And the most important bit is to stay connected, because offline is very dispersed, and for a young brand like us, it could happen that you lose sight of things because somebody sitting in some part of the country may be feeling something, or maybe emoting with the consumer differently than what you would like to. So very important to continue to visit the markets. There's no better training that happens, there's no better learning that happens than on visiting the fields, being on the fields and talking with the consumer yourself and actually selling to the consumer yourself. So these are some of the examples. This is our team sitting in Pune. Then these are the kind of trainings. So this is one snapshot of one training being done by the salespeople only in Patna. Talking about demand generation. So I think this is where a lot of, this is the true test of how good your product is, how good your teams are, and also how connected you as a brand are with your consumers. So hyperlocal, going very targeted, very focused to the right consumer is very important. It is also important to indulge in marketing activities only if you have the right kind of distribution. So as a young brand who was recently funded, we had this very strong itch to go live with a TV commercial. But then we stopped ourselves because once you are sitting in the comfort of your home and you see the TV commercial and you want to go out and buy the product, our distribution is not that sorted, we are not that big yet. So basically we'll end up, and sometimes what also we don't end up understanding is the cost of making the ad is only about 10-12% of the cost. The other, about 88-90% is the cost of dissemination. So what you're going to do with that ad that you create is very important. So important to stop at the right time and withhold decisions that are not going to help you on the long-term journey and till your distribution is sorted. On the shelf, the right kind of visibility is important. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, it stands true. We saw in the previous presentation that many of us would have skipped that moonwalking beer. So if it is not visible, if it is not in your sight, it will not be in your mind. The power of sales engagement, which is teams coming together and getting trained on topics, getting trained on new products, finding out new innovative ways to talk about the product, and also understanding what cutting edge technology are we using to build that product to solve real life problems. And then at any and every point in time, tactical interventions for retailers to boost their engagement, because we are a young brand and we are taking away shelf space from the existing conglomerates. So it is important to have the retailer, the end retailer, as the biggest brand ambassador there possibly could be. The second image that you see is one of our kiosks. This is our kiosk in Pune. First one is a retail store from Muzaffarnagar. This one is from a hoarding that we, from a poster that we put in one of the retail stores in Varanasi. And then one of the stores that we, multi-branded stores that we are a part of in South. So all in all, for any brand that wants to become a common household name, it is important to go omni-channel. While many start with digital first or a D2C or marketplaces first, it is important to know that any business will only be able to grow to 1,000 crores, 10,000 crores kind of revenue only if it is available in physical stores in person to the consumers. Now, it will always play an important role in the growth of the company, and important to note that there is never a right time. But what is very important is the time at which you build the distribution, you decide when you want to go offline. And also very important to identify the right product, price and channel fit. Never stop investing in your teams, because they are the biggest sales advocates, they are the biggest. So in online, we focus so much on performance marketing. Your sales teams in offline are your performance marketers, and that is the kind of focus they should continue to get. And with this, I would like to thank you and have a nice day.